Welcome to episode 4 of 40 Before 40, my mini adventure series where I am personally trying 40 new activities before I turn 40. I shared a summer update for June and July last month, but in my recent Aulani vlogs, my family took a trip to Hawaii. I teased some of the new experiences that would be going in this video, and today I am here to deliver. So if you want to see these big adventures up close, stay tuned. And my little plug to you is that if you are interested in the weight loss surgery journey, bariatric coaching, the magical world of Disney, mamahood, or content on upcoming holidays, you should be subscribed here to our BariTale community. In case I haven't screamed it from the top of every castle, I turn 40 in 2025 in April because I'm an Aries. And I really want to celebrate this growth in my life. I know there's a movement, particularly for women, where getting older or growing older, aging, is seen as a negative. And I understand that when it comes to how you feel inside, but I view growing older as a privilege. The alternate is pretty grim. And because of that sense of wanting to embrace this brand new chapter, I started this series. I'll link the playlist here for you if this video is your entry point into 40 Before 40, but I do have 3 other videos prior, and there will be more, which is why you should be subscribed. And I want to thank you for contributing your own ideas for what I should be doing. As you know, I keep a note in my Notion app of everything that I'm doing and what I want to do so that I can plan out my months to include these exciting activities and adventures. If you have a suggestion and I haven't done it yet, or you think I haven't seen it, or you really want to reiterate, or you haven't shared it yet at all, please put it in the comments below. So in August of this year, my family and I took a long westbound trip out to Disney's Aulani, which is on the island of Oahu in Hawaii. And then we did stop in Disneyland on the way home. I will link the Disneyland video here. I have 2 Disneyland and California Adventure. It's their vlog style, what I ate, what we did, what my non-scale victories were. But today we're going to be focusing on my time in Hawaii. This was my family's 3rd trip. Technically, Callie's 2nd trip. Mark and I have been there. This was our 3rd time. I feel very lucky to have gone so many times, and it's a magical vacation that we plan for ourselves every 3 years. In the meantime, we get to travel to Disney World. And for this 3rd time Hawaiian adventure, we decided to try something new, and that was island hop. So we actually took a Hawaiian flight in the morning one day from Honolulu to Kauai. We're in for a very special and exciting 40 Before 40 for this month's video. Right now, I am back at the Hawaiian airport in Honolulu because we are about to do a neighbor flight, which means we're going from the island of Oahu over to Kauai. And we have a very exciting adventure planned while we're there. So, welcome back to this series. We're doing something kind of wild today. This is a little more exciting than the typical, I think, like daily or weekly challenges that I've been setting for myself. This is a small plane where I feel like that's a non-scale victory all on its own. Island hopping to a place we've never been before. This is the farthest west we as a family will ever have been, and individually, because it's like getting closer to Japan. And then we are doing a mountain tubing water adventure, which was my Christmas present from Mark. So I will be taking you along for as much of this journey as I can, and be sure to stay tuned so that way you can be a part of it as well. And if you're thinking like, Chelsea, I'm not an adventure gal, this isn't for me, I still feel like it's fun to watch, and you might be surprised, especially after weight loss surgery. So I'm filming in the airport, which makes me really uncomfortable. But you know, we're tackling challenges as we go. I did try to find the quite literal, like, emptiest corner that I could. Mark and Callie went out to grab some snacks, but this is all that I brought. This is my TikTok backpack. This is it. this is it. So I've never done this before either, where you like fly into a place and then fly out same day. I've never done this. So like we parked the car, we each have backpacks, we have a car rental waiting for us when we land, and off we go. Yes, I said mountain tube. Kauai is known for being the former home of massive amounts of sugarcane fields. That's what used to sustain the economy, but now it's too expensive to grow sugarcane there. So it's owned primarily by billionaires. However, it's set up as a preservation. So the island is super green, which is where it gets its nickname, the Garden Island. For our Kauai adventure, we arrived at the facility and took an open-air safari-like truck up to the top of a Hawaiian mountain. Now, this ride took about 45 minutes, and we were given all of the amazing history of the land and the people, the culture of Kauai. We even got to stop and feed some piggies, and we saw baby piggies. It was great. When we arrived on top of the mountain, we were instructed by our raft guides on how to sit and behave, the types of calls that they would be using to us, so that we would have to chant them down the line so everyone heard them, and that way we could stay safe while we were on our rafting adventure. And then we floated down a mountain, a literal mountain, going through a series of 5 different covered tunnels. So the tunnel systems were really cool, but prior to going into them, I did experience some anxiety. The fact that the tunnels were covered made me feel like I had this flare-up of my old friend body dysmorphia, and I was worried that between the width of the raft and my body, how tight would I be packed into this tunnel, because claustrophobia and I go way back. Additional factors included the tunnels were dark. We did have headlights on, but through the 5th tunnel system, they wanted us to feel like it was sensory deprivation. So they asked us to turn nothing on, no flashlights, no watch lights, no headlights. So it truly felt like you weren't even moving in that tunnel, and you weren't necessarily guaranteed to be able to float with your family or the party that you arrived with. The current in the river does what the current does, and there was a no hand-holding policy. So I was anxious for myself and my claustrophobia to go through the tunnel, but I was also worried about how Callie, she's 8, would perceive this, if my husband would have any issues with vertigo. Like, I just had some building anxiety as I was getting into the water. And for much of this float, I was separated from Mark and Callie. But after going through the first tunnel, we all yelled to check in with each other, and everybody was okay. It was very exciting from that point on. My non-scale victories here, as well as firsts, which is why I'm making the video, are being in a bathing suit for 45 minutes. We were in everything that we were going into the tunnel in while we were on the bus. So I did have a pair of little shorts and a bathing suit top, but being just in clothing that wasn't my regular go-to dressing clothing and feeling comfortable with that, and also wearing the world's ugliest water shoes and a helmet, I wasn't worried about what my body looked like despite what I had on. I then had to plop my buttocks into a tube and float down a mountain. That's a pretty big non-scale victory and a huge adventure first for me. Also, I know I'm not the only one who notices things like this. While we were in line waiting between the safety briefing and getting into our tubes, there were 2 raft guides, and every person who showed up at the end of the line, they would tell you to turn around and drop it like it's hot into your raft. Those are literally the exact words that they would say. But there were 2 types of rafts. They were different colors, and one was meant for a certain body and one was meant for a certain body. I was watching who was getting into which color raft and wondering which one I would get. I don't remember the colors, but I know there were 2 different sizes, and that I'm not the only one who would notice that. I did not end up in a pre-surgery sized me raft, but I know I'm not the only person, especially someone who's formerly overweight, formerly obese, or someone who is feeling that that's how they are in their body now, would look at that situation. I know 235 plus pound Chelsea would have looked at that and been like, oh, how embarrassing that I have to get this color raft. But people who have never struggled with weight, body size, body image, dysmorphia would never even be aware that there were two systems going on. The raft guides were really good about like making it flow. No pun intended with the water. I think I'm super sensitive to this because of a childhood memory that I have. And if you want to know that story, let me know in the comments. I'm not sure that I could have done this before surgery. Mark gifted this to me for Christmas, and I know he would have never gotten this for me as a gift before surgery. But I feel like I would have struggled with my confidence the whole time, and I would have been so stressed about fitting into those tunnels, each and every one of them. And the experience just wouldn't have been exciting and enjoyable and adrenaline creating like it was while we were there. So that's my first 40 before 40 Oahu edition, really Kauai edition. The second one does take place back on Oahu at the Four Seasons Resort, which is the next door neighbor of Aulani. Mark bought me a Hawaiian sound bath, which was a way different experience than I thought it was going to be. My healer was Hawaiian from a family of ancient Hawaiian healers. So he combined sounds through the garden and outdoor experience with chakras, crystals, and that's all kind of part of a sound bath. But then he called on like the energetic being of the island of Hawaii and ancestors, which is not something I've ever experienced during a sound bath. I know this is woo-woo to the core, but I loved it. I was able to communicate with this healer in a way that where I'm not so vulnerable usually. I opened up to him. He shared stories about his family, not only his husband, but his past and his ancestral family. I talked about my grandmother and this house. Like, so much came up that during a sound bath, I usually feel very calm and centered and quiet. And this felt like I was an active participant with aligning my own chakras, and that the island of Hawaii has converged to heal me in some way. He made this experience feel so comfortable and authentic. He allowed me space to feel my feelings, think about my thoughts and my feelings, and just be. Whereas in a regular sound bath, after about 45 minutes, I start to get antsy. And 2 hours went by, and I could have been in that space for 3 days and not known it. This is a unique one to be a non-scale victory because anyone at any size, there's no physical restriction or limitation on a sound bath. However, I would never have sought out something like this type of healing before surgery. Because before surgery, I assumed that everything wrong with me or every trauma, everything that needed healing was because I was fat. Now I look at my health journey way more holistically. Yes, it's about the food that I eat and the protein I consume. It's about my mobility and my body's movement. But it's also so much more about my mental health, my inner awareness, my intuition. And that part of my healing journey did not happen until several years after surgery. I've discovered since surgery so much more about who I am as a person, but also how I define my own success when it comes to my health. What does health really mean to me beyond just losing the weight? So we are officially at 18 events. So we have 7 months to conquer the rest. I think we can handle that. And I'd love to know what you think I should tackle as we get into these Burr months, September, October, November, December. Thank you so much for being here. I hope this was entertaining and maybe a little bit inspiring for you to watch. Make sure you are subscribed. We are wrapping up our travel series on Aulani and Disneyland, and then we are hitting the reset button on how to bariatrically reset for fall before we get into the holiday season, which feels wild to say. I love you, my friend. I hope you are having an incredible September so far and are looking forward to the months ahead. I'll see you here, same time, same place next week. Goodbye, friends.
I don't think we're allowed. Oh, there's a perfect one. เนาะ